And now I want to introduce our guest speaker. Dr. Yoram Solomon served at the Israeli Defense Forces 35th Airborne Parachute. He never jumped out of that airplane either. In fact, Yoram has never jumped out of any airplane. He published 4 books, 9 patents, and has his own columns at Inc. magazine and Innovation Excellence, who named him as one of the top 40 innovation bloggers in 2015. His Unkill Creativity Workshop, which he delivers to Fortune 500 companies, was described by participants as transformative. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage Dr. Yoram Solomon.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning.
Good morning.
Pizza was not enough. My name is Yoram Solomon. I'm going to introduce myself through a few pictures. Good morning to people in, well, you see me better when I look at you there, people in New Jersey, California, and Georgia, and I think that, no, in Washington. We have people from Washington. So thank you for having me today. Before session number 3, I got an email. It was a weird email. It said, "Dear friend," it had the logo of the White House on the top, and it said, "You are hereby invited to join a meeting of the Business Council of the White House. Somebody will contact you to get your social security number for security clearance." Okay, you need to be a little less serious. When somebody calls you and says, "We're going to call you and ask for your social security number," you don't give them your social security number. But I thought that was brilliant. I've never seen somebody trying to get my social security number that way. And I started, you hover over different fields to try and see what sites in Russia or Brazil or anywhere is it taking you through. But, everything seemed kind of legitimate. And the email is coming from something that comes from whitehouse.gov. I'm thinking somebody went through the effort of making this look really, really credible. And I thought maybe this is real. I don't know why somebody would invite me to the White House, but I can't find anything wrong with it. And then I realized, I can call our Congressman Sam Johnson. I called his office and I said, "I got this email. They asked me to forward it. I forwarded it. And can you tell me if this is real?" They took about an hour. They called me back and they said, "We have no idea." However, why don't you call the White House? And I'm thinking, yeah, right, because that's going to happen. But wait, White House is working for me, not the other way around. I'm going to call the White House. So I dialed the number, I think it's 212 something and 1414 at the end. I called. I told them about the email. They had no idea what I'm talking about. They asked who's signed on the email. I told them it says Sam Brown, the director of the Business Council in the White House. "Sam Brown, let us transfer you to his office." Okay, this is going way further than I wanted to. But I get to his office. His assistant answered, "Sam is out of the office. Do you want to leave him a voicemail?" You know what? I'll leave him a voicemail. So I get his voicemail and I left a message. "Hi, Sam, this is Yoram Solomon from Plano." This is my pilot's voice, by the way. That's what you use when you talk to the tower. "This is Yoram Solomon from Plano, Texas. You sent an email, or I received an email supposedly from you that said that I'm invited to this meeting and that somebody is going to call for my social security number, and I'm not in a habit of leaving my social security number with somebody who called. If this is a real meeting or something, I'd appreciate if he called me back. My cell phone number is 469. I gave him the number. Next day was Leadership Plano. And our phones are on mute so that we don't get calls and we don't talk and we don't look at the phone, because when you look at the phone, she catches you. And the phone vibrates. And I look at the phone. I committed a sin. I looked at the phone. I don't know this number. It's a 212 something, 1414. This is the White House number that I called yesterday. So I'm picking up the phone, I'm walking outside. Andre, the director, she sees me. She has this mean look on her face. And I know this is not going to be good when I come back, but I took it outside. I answered the phone, and on the other side, "Hi, Yoram, this is Sam Brown, the director of the Business Council at the White House. You left me a voicemail yesterday." There's no way anybody could have known that other than the person answering that phone, and I called the White House, not the other way around. "And we do have this meeting. It's going to be on December 18th, and we'll appreciate it if you come." Okay. So now I'm thinking they sent this email, because it started with "Dear friend," they sent this email to 2 million people. And this meeting is not really at the White House. It's going to be a webcast of some kind. And I asked him how many people are invited. And he said 60. I'm thinking 60 people. So 60, there is a list of 60 people out of 274,000 in Plano that I'm on. And he said, "No, this is not from Plano. This is from the US. We invited 60 people from the US. Let's talk about what we do today. We're going to spend the next, give or take, 2.5 hours. The first part is going to be, why do we get ideas in the shower? This is a lecture that I give to many organizations, and not only organizations. I give it to anyone who would show up, because this doesn't necessarily talk about getting ideas here at AT&T. It talks about getting ideas anywhere, for every reason. Then we're going to have a short exercise, creativity exercise, with 3 lessons from it. The next part, I'm going to give a lecture that is more business-oriented. This is going to be tools of the trade. How do we create ideas, the ideation process or the ideation workshop? We're going to take a break, and then we're going to go through a lecture called Business Plan Through Investors' Eyes. And the funny thing about that was that the first time I did that was under a different name, was in this building in the bottom floor at Startup Weekend as a keynote. It is 1978, and I am in the qualifiers in Israel for the 1980 Moscow Olympics. Moscow Olympics are 2 years out, and I get lane number 4. And if you know swimming, lane number 4 means that right now you have the best time in the country, in the state of Israel. And everybody, the last 30 minutes, they warm up, but I don't need to warm up. I have big feet. I got this. I'm gonna win this. And it's time. Get ready, set, and we jump. 50 meters. Turning around, I'm first. It's easy. 75 meters, my muscles start to ache. All of them. I still have big feet, but I get to the end, number 4. You know what's so special about number 4 in qualifiers? Number 4 is the first one that does not go to the Olympics. I didn't make the Olympics. I'll tell you 2 more stories. The first of them is PenView. PenView is a product that I actually invented back in 2010. And I presented the concept long before it looked like this cool device. I presented it to our board of directors. I was working for a technology company as a vice president of corporate strategy. I presented it in the board meeting on July 21st, 2010. The board was excited. They were thrilled. We're going to do that. They voted, and I got a budget of just over $10 million to build it. And one of the board members followed me to my office. And he said, "This idea happens once in a lifetime." And I'm thinking, only through my short lifetime, that's not the first one. It's not even the 5th one. So why does he think that it happens once in a lifetime? And I asked him, and he said, because innovation or invention is accidental. Where was Newton when he found his law? Under a tree, hit by an apple. Eureka? In the bathtub, yes. As it turns out, the 5th century BC, the 3rd century BC did not have showers, but it happened in the bathtub. So it was accidental. But why do I get more of those accidents? Why do some people get more of those accidents and others get less? Actually, we're going to be using 2 oranges. And I need 2 victims, 2 volunteers. Come over here, please. Next to Eric. Come over here, next to Zvika. Are you left brain or right brain?
Right brain.
No, right now you're left brain. Come over here next to Zvika. By the way, left brain, right brain, myth doesn't really work. Ideas happen in a different area of your brain and at different times. Okay, we have been collecting ideas. That's okay. We have been collecting ideas. I have 2 ideas in my head right now. One of them is over there, that's 1 orange, and one of them is over here. However, those are old ideas. In order for me to get new ideas, what must happen is those 2 oranges must be thrown to the prefrontal cortex above my head and meet. So I'm going to count to 3. On 3, I want you to throw it over my head and I need them to meet. Okay?
Are you serious?
I am serious, yes. At the count of 3, have them hit each other over my head. 1, 2, 3. Thank you for playing. Go back to your places. What did I do with my remote? My remote is here. Thank you. Now, I've done this probably 100 times so far. I don't know what's going to happen the first time that they actually hit. I'll probably just quit at that time and start talking about something else, but it never happens. And the reason it never happens is because it's hard. And I want you to think about the analogy. Here is the medial prefrontal cortex right there in the middle of our brain, not left brain, not right brain. That's where old ideas need to meet to create new ideas, because that's where the majority of ideas come from. 2 old ideas or more combined into a new idea. That's where it needs to happen. But my brain only has 2 ideas. What is the probability of them meeting? What can we do to increase that probability? Alcohol, yes, thank you. That I have not heard that yet. Alcohol, I heard a lot of things, but not alcohol yet. Although I'm sure you're right. Step number 2, procrastinate. Whenever your boss comes to you and says, you are procrastinating, you should say, I was told to do that because this is helpful. And it is helpful because when you procrastinate, you don't force ideas together. When you procrastinate, you let this happen. A story. I was programming. I was developing alarm systems back in Israel, processor-based, 68HC11, if that means anything to anyone. I was writing mostly in assembly language. And back in 1990, I started writing in C. So I wrote this program in C. Oh, come on, this would be the point where somebody points out that this is not C. But this is a good picture. What can I tell you? Everybody else in the world don't know that this is not C. So I wrote it in C, and something didn't work. I got to a certain point, I already had about 64 kilobytes of code, which I know it doesn't mean anything anymore, but this is 1990. And something didn't work. I programmed a certain parameter, and there has to be some kind of a behavior as a result of that, and it just didn't work. I worked until 8 p.m. At 8 p.m., unfortunately, I had a date with my girlfriend then at 9:30 to see a movie. I say unfortunately, she's my wife for the last 23 years. But we were going to watch a movie, and I just had to drag myself out of the table because you know how it is. You know how it is that you just have to solve it now, and it doesn't matter if you're going to spend all night. You're not going to feel that you're going to spend all night, but you just have to resolve it. Don't stop. Go see a movie with your girlfriend, your boyfriend. If you're married, maybe not so good idea to do it with your girlfriend or boyfriend, but we went to the movie. And my wife still remembers that 30 minutes after the movie started, I said, I know what it is. I whispered. Well, I don't think that I really whispered. pretty sure that other people heard that. But I know what it is. And the next morning I got to the office. I went really, really early because I had to validate it, right? You know the feeling. You have to know that this is it. It took 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, I figured it out. It was what I thought. It was pardon my language, it was a freaking bug in the compiler. The compiler did something wrong. And you assume always the compiler is error-free, bug-free and all, but it's not. It was the compiler. But the thing is, it took the movie. I don't even remember what movie it was. It took the movie for me to break away, procrastinate. I stopped working on it. I procrastinated. And that's when I solved it. I skipped 3, right? Thank you. People in New Jersey, I skipped 3. It was on purpose. People in San Francisco, we always skip 3. And I'll talk about San Francisco. But in a positive way,